Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon.
Am I good? I go? Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight in this first series of a program we're calling Celebrating Black Excellence. It is February. It is Black History Month. We know with all the racial tensions, all the stuff that's going on in our society right now, and let us say at the outset that we believe that we make history every day of the year. And it's really American history, but we're going to take advantage of this, what we call a Black History Month, because a lot of times the greater culture only recognize this month. So we're going to take advantage of it, and we're going to get some mileage out of it. So thank you, all those that have joined us on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. Thank you for joining us on this episode, if you will, of Celebrating Black Excellence. This is our purpose. Our purpose is we know that we've got historical figures that have made history down through the years. Martin Luther King, the Booker T. Washington, Fannie Lou Hamer's, we know that, and we definitely can read about that. But in the Bible, Paul talks about living epistles. And what we have among us and what we endeavor to do is actually celebrate those that are living among us in our community that's making impact every day on lives and systems and policies and furthering the cause of humanity. And they just happen to be black. And so we're going to celebrate these every Thursday at 6:30, and we'll be celebrating two individual black individuals that have made tremendous impact in this area. And tonight I am glad, I'm happy to have co-hosting with me a person that owes me. He owes me. He's been owing me for about 25, 26 years, and he can never get out of debt. So my co-host, I want to present my co-host, Brother Buddy Hanna. Buddy.
Thank you, Pastor Moore. Appreciate it. Yeah, that debt is every time. But I'm happy to be a part of this. When Pastor Moore approached me with this idea, I decided that I wanted to, be a part of it.
Hold on, my co-host. I want my co-host to speak a little louder. So I'm gonna turn the volume up for my co-host so you can hear him because he got something to say. Co-host again, buddy.
No.
Okay. Look, just hold right there. And look, oh yeah, I know what I needed to do.
All right.
I need to ask you if you get specific questions that you have for this audience, I need you to shoot them in. So anytime doing this, this time of sharing together, if you have questions or comments, we need to shoot those in because we need to hear from you. Buddy Hannah, welcome.
I'm back. All right, I'm back. We had a little mic switch there, but we're back. When Pastor Moore approached me with this idea of celebrating Black excellence, I immediately wanted to be a part of it. And I think it's a good idea that we talk about these things because what we want to try to do tonight, and I'll try to share with you, the audience, is the fact that things are, yes, we know there's injustice, we know there's racism, we know that all these things are going on. However, in spite of all of this, we do have African Americans who make great achievements, accomplishments every day. Many of them have been doing it for years. So this goes beyond just celebrating the fact that we've done something. This is also saying we've done something in spite of these things. So happy to be here. I hope that you will be happy to stick with us throughout this whole series, the episodes, as Pastor acquainted, and we're going to get started.
All right. Thank you so much, buddy. And we've got a fourfold purpose tonight. We want to inform, we want to inspire, we want to encourage, and we want to motivate. And so you're going to have to help us. You're going to have to help us keep our scorecard. Because remember, we want to inspire, we want to motivate, want to encourage, and we want individuals to really want to do something about because you've heard these individuals tonight. And so the segment is going to go like this. We've got two individuals that we really think need celebrating. They've been in this community. They are in this community. They live in this community. They have sold in this community. And you may know some about them, but you don't know their story. We want to know the story. We want to know the backstory that, as Buddy said, in spite of racial injustices, in spite of setbacks, in spite of unjust system, individuals, blacks, are doing significant things. They are achieving excellence. And tonight, I'm happy to have two individuals, and we have one individual. We have the Chief Operating Officer, the CEO of, let me get it just right, Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. We have Mr. Jeff Patton. So, Jeff, welcome to this first inaugural viewing of Celebrating Black Excellence. So we have Mr. Jeff Patton. So thank you so much. And I just can't wait to hear his story. And I guarantee you're going to be blessed with it. Additionally, we've got now a young lady with us, and she's an attorney. And you may know something about her, but you don't know her story. And this young lady is Alisa Parker, attorney Alisa Parker. And listen to this now, she's the managing attorney for legal services of South Central Michigan in Battle Creek. Now, you can just shout out right there, wow. Both those individuals is just a mouthful. So, buddy, let's get in it, man. Let's talk to these individuals. I know our audience is just waiting. You're like, okay, we got Alisa, we got Jeff. What's that story, Jeff? Come on, buddy.
Right.
Let's
hey,
get
well,
it.
I tell you what, we're gonna kick this off as ladies first. Alisa, you know, I know a lot of people know you because you're a hometown girl. You've been born and raised here. Your family is involved in a lot of things. I could go on and on about the work that you're doing with your father, your sisters. It's a family thing, Charlie's Place, and doing some good things. But just briefly tell us a little bit. Pastor Moore mentioned the fact that you are the managing manager of the office there, and we want to know a little bit about what are some of your duties. What are you being held accountable for?
Well, thank you for having me tonight. I'm so glad to be a part of this work and this program. Like Pastor Moore said, I'm the managing attorney for legal services of South Central Michigan. A lot of folks know us as legal aid. I manage the office in Battle Creek, and so what that means is I have kind of co-duties. I represent clients. My priority area is housing. So a lot of the work around eviction diversion that's going on, my office is really key and heavy involved in that work. But my office in particular, we cover 3 counties. We cover Branch County, Calhoun County, and Berry County. In addition to taking clients, I also manage staff. So I supervise other attorneys in our office and interns, just giving them guidance on how to handle cases. But legal services is a unique program that it's a nonprofit. So in addition to doing the lawyering stuff, I also do a lot of nonprofit administration. So I write grants, go to meetings, do a lot of advocacy in the system. So that's my legal services hat. The other thing that I do, and I'd be remiss if I don't mention this, is I own a business with my sister. It's called A&P Consulting. And what we do is we equip people who want to create change with the tools necessary. So our real key area is social innovation. It's a term of art, but really folks are looking at ways to start businesses or start things for the purposes of creating change in community. So we really work with those social innovators and give them the tools necessary to create change, and I do that in partnership with my sister, Nicole Parker.
Mm-hmm. And you forgot to mention the fact that you are also among the founders of the Judge Charles A. Pratt Bar Association. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the Judge Charles A. Pratt Bar Association is a minority bar association, and basically what that means is it's a collective of lawyers and judges in the community. And so Judge Charles A. Pratt actually was the first African-American judge in Kalamazoo. He was elected, the first Black elected judge in Kalamazoo, so that's where we hail our name. And right now we have about 14 members that comprise of lawyers and judges, folks who work for private law firms. We have some lawyers who have their own practices, to folks who are working in the city attorney's office, and then people like myself who work for legal aid. So it's been a really good experience just to see the different career paths that each of us have taken. And we do have a Facebook page. We'll be launching our new website actually soon. So the Judge Charles A. Pratt Bar Association, if you go on Facebook, you can learn a lot more there.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, can I jump in for a minute?
Sure you can.
Because Elisa said something, and I don't want you to miss that when we were talking about because there's so much is packed in what she said. But she said something when she was talking about this managing attorney. She said, and she just said it in passing, and I supervise attorneys. She supervised attorneys. She run the office. Did y'all hear that? I'm talking about Elisa. She the boss over the attorneys. Like, attorney, you go do this. And she said it so nonchalantly. And buddy, that's what we want to talk about. Is like, okay, Elisa, how did you Black, all right? Mm-hmm. And you had to have had injustices and struggles. How'd you get there? Or how'd you do that?
So when I was in law school, so I should actually back up. I actually, all throughout high school and elementary, I didn't even want to be an attorney. And so I tell people that growing up, I actually wanted to be an astronaut. And the reason for that is because when I was growing up, it was the one career path that I didn't see Black people. Mm-hmm. So, back when I was growing up, we didn't know who the hidden figures were. And so when Mae Jemison went to space, I kind of was like, well, I can't be the first Black woman in space, so I might go do something else. And so funny thing is when I got to undergrad, I went to Fisk University at HBCU, shout out to that. I went there because they had an internship program with NASA. And so I accidentally took a political science class. I realized that I really didn't like math that much. And so it made more sense for me to go the political science route. And I always was fascinated with debate and law and things of that nature. So that's how I actually got into the career path of law. And from there, I knew that I didn't want to work for a law firm. I didn't want to do like corporate law. My family is a social justice, social worker type family. And so I knew I was going to either be a prosecutor or I was going to do something to help people who were less fortunate or who just really needed access to justice. So I ended up interning in the office where I'm now managing. And I interned there for a semester. I interned in a prosecutor's office. And then when I was looking for a job, I ended up getting hired in at the office where I'm working now. So I've worked my way up. I was a staff attorney, then I became a supervisor, and now I'm the managing attorney.
Wow. Well, you know, we're definitely going to come back to this working our way up. But like we told you in the beginning, this is a tag team thing, so to speak. We do have another guest here, and I'm going to let Pastor Moore, because I think they need to talk more. Brother Patton and Pastor Moore need to talk more. I heard them talking, but they need to talk more.
Tap him in.
But we do have another person here that we want everybody to bring out, and we're going to talk to them, and then we'll come back and talk to you some more about some of the obstacles that you face, some of the setbacks and things that you had to do. But Pastor Moore, you want to talk about our guest?
Yeah. Let me introduce this one because this guy I've seen around. You see him at these major functions. He's cool. He's laid back. He doesn't make a whole lot of noise. He's sort of like an alligator that goes in the water. You don't see the alligator get in the water, but once the alligator gets in the water, you see the effect that alligator makes. This is the way this guy is. He's clean cut. He's cool looking, but he's deep, and you see him influencing things, and you see the effect of what he's doing. And I'm just happy to have Jeff Patton with us. And Jeff, welcome. And right away, you are the CEO of Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. And that's when he said we had to talk, because I think they changed names so much I can't keep up with them. So Jeff, what is welcome. You're the CEO of Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. Could you tell us what that is?
Well, first, it's really a privilege to be here, and thank you for inviting me. Integrated Services of Kalamazoo is the community mental health authority for the county of Kalamazoo. Previously, it was named Kalamazoo Community Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, which was far too long of a name, and so we changed it. Not because it was just a long name, but we are specializing in integrating various services. We serve people with serious mental illnesses, children with serious emotional disturbances, people with co-occurring substance use disorders, and also people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so we cover the county of Kalamazoo, and we're one of 46 community mental health services programs in the state, created by the county of Kalamazoo, but we are not part of county administration. We are an authority that's created by the county, and then our board of directors are appointed by the county of Kalamazoo.
Now, Jeff, when you start announcing everything that's in that integrated services, I think you probably covered just about everybody in Kalamazoo, some type of service you have that we probably need or know somebody that needs. So let me ask you this, because you said something earlier in our before we got on. What's that budget like for the organization you run?
Our operating budget is $90 million, and our staff, we have about 240, might be a little bit more than that, close to 250 employees. But about 60% of what we do, we contract with local providers, and most of those providers are nonprofit organizations and legacy organizations, actually, here in Kalamazoo. We contract with for psychiatric services, psychiatric hospital services, including Kalamazoo Psychiatric Hospital, Ascension Borges, and then a number of psychiatric hospitals. And then a number of specialized residential programs, generally known as group homes. And so we have a far-reaching tent in Kalamazoo, and we basically provide services in Kalamazoo County.
Okay, so Jeff, so you black, and you
been black for about 73 years.
and you the chief operating officer. How long you been the chief operating officer?
I'm in my 20th year here in Kalamazoo.
So Jeff, how'd you do that? I mean, once again, just like we said to Elisa, you black. You had to have. We're talking about systems. We're talking about policies that you somehow navigated that, and you are the CEO, and you've been that for over 20 years. How'd you do that?
Just kept living. Part of that. I think even prior to that, I have a history here in Kalamazoo. I was director of the Family Health Center back in the 80s, which was a long time ago. And then I left, became a director of Pheasant Ridge Center, which it was a state-operated psychiatric hospital for children right here in Kalamazoo. And then I left that position and I became Deputy Director of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services with the Michigan Department of Community Health, which is now referred to as Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And then in actually 2001, I was hired as the CEO of Kalamazoo Community Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, now Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. So I think just to answer your question, partially answer your question, you just have to keep living and you have to just keep striving and believing in yourself.
But he kept living and he was black. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here. I know he kept living. But, Mr. Payton, tell us this. During these times, do you feel that, do you feel you have been experienced any type of racial prejudice or anything directly or indirectly? Have you felt that pressure as an African American trying to succeed in doing what you've done? Have you felt any type of pressure that you felt like, well, this wouldn't necessarily have been if I had been of another color?
Yeah, I think, during the years, and I think the message that I want to give tonight is that you just have to have endurance and you have to believe in yourself. Despite knowing that, as an African-American male, your people are looking over your shoulder and expecting the worst. I think one of the worst fears that I've had during my career is people thinking that I'm going to do something illegal. And that's always been in the back of my mind. And I always wanted to make sure that I was doing things in a transparent kind of way and a legal kind of way. But you can't just let that get in the way. You have to just keep moving forward, and I think that's what I've done over 40 years that I've been in this business.
Now, we talk about the injustice, we talk about the racism, but have there been any other type of, sometimes we face other setbacks that we have to overcome. People, it's not always a racial thing, it's not always this, that, and other. Sometimes it may be a medical thing, it may be something else. Did you, by any chance, experience any other type of roadblocks or setbacks that it threw you off, but yet you got back on course?
Yeah, I think that particularly when I was with the state of Michigan, I think there were times that I felt like I was being shut out of various meetings because of my skin color. But I had to rise, above that, and I just persevered. And knowing that that's in the background, you just can't let that stop you. And I think that's I'm pretty bold at times. I'm a fairly shy person by nature, but I'm very, very insistent on achieving whatever goals that I need to achieve. And knowing that I have to really step up to do better than my counterparts. And that's a good thing and also a bad thing. Just thinking that you have to do better than your white counterparts, it takes a toll on you because you're always thinking that you're not good enough. But when you persevere and when you live as long as I do, you just get to a point that you really don't care anymore and you just do what you need to do.
What you need to do. Alicia, we want to ask you the same thing. You're a woman, which sometimes that's a strike, You're black, that's a strike. So you got a double thing there. And you're young. You've accomplished a lot as a young lady. I mean, a lot of young ladies your age, they haven't accomplished what you have. What about you? I mean, have you felt that, we talk about injustice, we talk about racism. What are some of the things that you feel you had to overcome or had to deal with?
Absolutely. I think being a woman and being a black woman at that, I'm always constantly thinking about how I look, how I sound. I can't tell you how many times I've been in court and I'm arguing a case and I have a white man who's an attorney who's arguing and yelling and being disrespectful. And if I elevate my voice, having the judge tell me, Ms. Parker, you need to calm down. And it's like, you haven't even seen me angry. And so I definitely have experienced that. And then everything that comes with that. And so in a profession that's still very much a white male-dominated field, people are going to have assumptions about you. People are going to have assumptions that I don't know what I'm doing. So the notion that you have to work harder, you have to be smarter. A lot of times I know more about the cases, I'm gonna work harder, I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna represent my client to the best, not just of my ability, but to the best of making sure that everything from the way that I look, from the way that I sound, because one of the things I learned in this process, and it was a lesson my mom tried to teach me in high school, but you know how you don't listen to your parents? And I remember when I was in high school, I was in a speaking competition, and I got in this hairstyle, and my mom was like, you know, you probably shouldn't get that hairstyle because the judges are gonna mark you down. And I'm like, Mom, they should listen to how I sound though. And I remember that was the only competition where I didn't place. And I didn't do anything different except for change my hair. And so that's always stuck with me because I realize in representing other people, I have to put my client first. And so on one hand, I've started to learn how to embrace who I am. I have natural hair. I got to a point where I was like, look, this is how my hair grows. I'm not about to be getting up 2 hours early to straighten my hair because that's just not happening. That's not how I want to go. But at the same time, also recognizing that sometimes in some courts, if it's super conservative, I'm going to put on a dress, not because I feel like putting on a dress in the wintertime, but because my client and their cause is more important. So it's a constant balancing act, and it's constantly in the forefront of my mind. I never don't think about it.
So Jeff, let me follow up on that because you're talking about where you're operating at, and you were past chairman of the board of Kalamazoo Valley Community College.
Right.
And so navigating the circles that you've navigated, what have you had to adjust, being black, to continue to actually do the excellent work you're doing and continue to thrive in those positions?
I don't know if I had to make any specific adjustments. You know, you get to a point that you can be pretty bold, whether people like it or not, and you have to say what you have to say. You know, you have to be diplomatic, of course. But during that period, I'm on the KVCC board over 30 years now, and it's a very, very fine board. But still, and I followed Mrs. Cheney, and there's a history there is interesting, and also Anna Whitten was also on the board for many, many years. And I didn't really experience any issues, specific issues as being a board member, but more issues, in the work that I do on a day-to-day basis. I think that's something that you just have to just keep looking forward, and again, I'll say just believing in yourself and believing that you can do the work and take risk. And I've certainly done that many, many times, and I still continue to do that. And so the message that I would have for people is that sometimes you have to just move beyond your color. You know it's there, and it's going to be there. You can't do anything about it. But the work that you think that you can do or that you want to do, you just have to strive and do the best that you possibly can.
So Jeff, one other question. As you were talking, I'm listening to you. So that's an influential position, chairman of the board, influential position where you're a CEO. How did you use your position to influence systems and structures to help eradicate and get rid of the racism that's so prevalent?
It's a work in progress. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't feel that I've completely accomplished that. What's interesting about this conversation now, and I brought some notes with me, our board for the first time passed a monumental resolution to end racism. And that comes as a result of what's been happening with black deaths. And, with Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Walter Scott, Alton Sterling, Stephen Clark, Breonna Taylor, and now I just added, of course, Andre Maurice Hill, who actually died December 22nd. And we all agreed enough is enough, and we just have to take a stand. And I held conversations with our staff, open conversations, and I led those conversations. What is racism? What is it and what isn't it? And how is that impacting people that we serve and that people that are on staff? What do we know about what's called microaggressions? You know, the day-to-day kind of put-downs. Talking about hair, talking about the way you dress, talking about your skin color. I remember one time someone asked me, you know, do black people get suntans? Well, yeah, they do. But why do you ask? So you know, that was a response. You know, you encounter those kinds of responses and reactions. But very often, and I noticed this when I was with the state, some state employees, black employees, really got really absorbed in the whole race issue and could not transcend it. And when I say transcend, I don't think we're actually transcending race, but we have to deal with it, and we have to set goals, and we have to move forward. And I guess the message that I would have tonight is that if you think that you have something to offer, do it. And expect that you're going to get pushed down, expect that somebody's going to have to, well, step over you, but you just have to keep doing what you think that you can do, and you have to be patient.
Wow.
Well, I think I have a question, and I'll throw it out to either one of you, and that is, I know we talked about how you got here. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to stay here. Okay, you made it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what it takes to stay here.
Well, so I think, you know, one of the things I know about us as a people is we work hard. I think it's funny that there's a narrative about black people being lazy when we were the slaves. So really, I think it comes down to mindset. I realized I got to this place in my career early in life. So it's like I have certain points in life where I was like, you know, I could just coast and not do anything, but I'm really ambitious, so I like to do a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And I think it's about being innovative and really realizing what's out there and then going after it, and keeping going, showing up. And so I think just the drive to see not just the work that I do keep going and just being able to like stay in the race and, you know, exercise your muscles. But I also think being able to create change for the next generation is the thing that really keeps me going now. When I look and I see some of the things that I'm going through and some of my mentors who are, when I'm going through things that my mentors are going through, it just makes me say, I don't want my niece or my nephews to go through the things that I'm going through today. So there are definitely things that I can do today to change it and make it better for the next generation. And then I just think the mindset, a part of it. I think the generation behind us is really starting to be unapologetic. And so that gives me a lot of hope because it says that we can show up and we can be our authentic self, we can be creative, and that gives me a lot of motivation. And I think, you know, we're in a church, at the end of the day, God, because then there are gonna be those times where it's like, I don't wanna do anything. I'm just gonna lay down, I'm gonna watch Netflix, I'm not doing nothing. And when I have that moment, I take it, I live in it, and then I gotta get up and go. And it's really that motivation from the Holy Spirit that's like, you know, like Jeremiah said, that fire won't leave me alone. It's in you. And so when all else fails, it seems like it's something that will kick up in me. And I know it's not just something, it's the God in me that will push me even in those times when I don't even feel like going.
Mm-hmm. Brother Patton, same question. What it takes to stay here?
It takes, I don't want to say courage. I think you just have to persevere. You have to just stay the course and not jump around. I don't know any other way to say it. And you have to have deep down a belief in yourself. If you don't have that, you just won't make it. And that doesn't mean that that you're going to be treated fairly, because you won't. So just understand that. But when you're knocked down, you have to get back up, and you just have to just stay there. And of course, I've stayed there for a long time. I know I'm an old person, and I don't plan on going anywhere soon. But I guess the message is that when I said that combating racism is a work in progress. I don't believe that I've actually, for our organization, we're going through another stage, and a very important stage, in recognizing that racism exists. It exists within our organization. It exists outside of our organization. And we are making a very deliberate effort, not only to train staff, but also to recruit and hire staff. And we are beginning to make some progress in that regard. We have to make sure that our doors are open, not only for people that are employed by us, but people that are served by us. And we have to do a much better job, and we're doing that. I think, you know, I listed the names of people that have passed away unjustly, have been killed. And I think that's a wake-up call for probably most of us, but unfortunately not all of us. And we have to recognize that we still are getting pushback. There are still those that want to get rid of us, that do not want us to have equal opportunities. And I will agree with, I hope that the next generation, because my generation will pass along, but the new generation has a different mindset. But we can't let our guards down on a different mindset, because there's another generation that really want to keep things the same. So we just have to move forward. And again, my message is, and a very strong message is to stay the course and expect to get knocked down, but expect to get back up.
Wow. Thank you. Elisa, we've heard from YouTube, Facebook, one of the audience. This is what they want to know. As a woman in a male-dominated area, talk about respect. Do you get the respect that you think you deserve? Talk about that whole idea of respect.
That's a good question. I think I do now. When I first started, I think it depended on who I was talking to. I have seen some things that people wouldn't believe were happening right in front of my face, and I've experienced some things that I'm like, really, did you just come up to me and say that? But I do think on balance, one of the things where I'm at in my career right now, I've been practicing law for over 10 years. So not only have I been practicing law for over 10 years, I've been heavily involved in the community. And so with just time and being present comes the respect, because people know that I know what I'm doing. People know that I'm going to show up. People know that my word is my bond. And so the way that you carry yourself, the integrity that you have, over time, that's going to make the room for you to gain the respect in whatever field that it is. And it doesn't mean that people still won't be jerks. It still doesn't mean that some people are just going to be disrespectful because that's who they are. But I think on balance, because I've just been able to say, look, this is who I am. So if you're going to be disrespectful to me, I'm not going to let your disrespect of me diminish who I am, and I'm still going to walk in excellence. As Jeff said, just keep showing up, just keep pushing, just keep being who you are. And I think that has changed the game. So I know now, when I first started at legal services and I would go to court, the judges wouldn't even call my name. They would just say legal aid. And now I go into the courtroom and the judges not only address me, but in a lot of cases, especially with the eviction diversion work, they're listening to me to get guidance on how things should run and how things should go. So it really is about, some of it is with being young. You know, people think when you're young, you don't know what you're doing. And so it's the way that you carry yourself. But also, there's some people that's just going to be disrespectful because that's who they are. You just be who you are anyway. And I think that speaks to other folks. You know, you're not always going to win everybody over. You're not going to always make people respect you. But you still have to walk and be who you are. And as long as you're walking in integrity, I think on balance, what life has shown me so far is people are going to respect you. They might not like you, and I know there's people that don't like me, but they definitely are going to respect me and build those allyships who will say, you need to back off of her because that one, she knows what she's doing.
Well, Lisa, would you say, because I think I heard in that, you produce, you get results.
Absolutely.
And because of you getting results, they have to respect you even though they don't like it because they know you're going to produce.
Absolutely.
Can you say that? Is that right?
And that's it. And it's really, again, it's about showing up and doing your work, because Even in producing, sometimes I have to produce even when the circumstances are unfair. I remember doing a trial, being sick, having the flu. Now, I'm not saying you need to show up to work sick. That is not what I'm advocating. But the point being is how you carry yourself. If I say that I'm going to get something in, I'm going to get it in on time. If I say I'm going to be at work at a certain time, I'm going to be there at a certain time. If I tell my clients I'm going to call them back, I'm going to call them back. So it's really about showing up and doing what you say you're going to do, and making sure that who you are and how you show up is going to be respected by others.
Buddy, I got this. Let me ask this question. Oftentimes, when you are black and in a leadership position, in an influential position, you run organizations and you're the head, sometimes blacks misinterpret your role. What would you like to say, because you're in it and you see some things that those of us from the outside can't see? And oftentimes we will misinterpret what you're doing or think you should be doing something else. Can you share, each of you share some things that you would like to share with black folk? Like, you need to know this is going on because you don't understand. You're only looking from the outside.
Absolutely. So what I would say to that is I think there's inside disruptors and external disruptors. And sometimes when you have a role in the system, there are ways that you need to navigate the system so that you can be heard. And navigating a system to be heard is not giving in to the white man or things that people will say. It's not even always playing respectability. It's making moves so that you can do what is necessary to move the ball forward, to change the policy, to be an advocate. But then there are people who are external disruptors. So sometimes those are those loud voices who are gonna speak out and speak loud and disrupt what's going on, to call out. And I think there's definitely a place for that. And so what I would say is that understand what is your role. Because some people, I sometimes say that I'm both an external and internal disruptor, but I play more on the inside. I play more of an inside game. And that if you're seeing that I'm doing something and you don't think I'm loud enough, let's have a conversation, because it's about the strategy to create the change. And then if you're a person that's like, look, I can't deal with the system, I can't deal internal, I can't play the politics, that's fine too. There's a role for that. But there's a way that both of these things can work in tandem, because it's both necessary to create change.
Brother Peyton, I wanted to ask you this, Brother Pat. We talk about the fact that, you experience racism, injustice, and a lot of times we think that this is just basically the people on the streets or the people on your staff and everything. But what have been your experience with the people that's on the same level as you? You know what I'm saying? Or other CEOs, how's that acceptance when you first started? Or have you experienced anything with those people that's on the same level with you, but yet may look at you like not being quite up there with them?
I don't think that I ever faced or confronted anything that was just blatant or racism. I think I've sensed at times being shut out of certain meetings or certain conversations. Again, I expected some of that, but I had to just move beyond it, and I don't know how to explain that. The role that I played, particularly when I was with the state and of course here now in Kalamazoo, is that you go home and you think that, are people thinking that I'm the black CEO, or do they think I'm the CEO? And there's a difference. The CEO has to be for everyone. People we serve everyone, and that has to be inculcated regularly, because many times people, sometimes there's staff, and then there's people on the outside of the organization that want you to really compartmentalize yourself. They want you to just speak to one group. And although you see things that's going on in the organization, you still have to lead the organization. And leading the organization, particularly our service organization, you have to lead for everyone. Everyone that's in the organization, and you know that there are issues and there are problems, and I think sometimes expectation is that you represent blackness. You're the black leader of the organization. Well, I happen to be black. I've been black for 73 years, so let's understand that. But I have to be a leader for the whole organization, and there's a difference between managing an organization and leading an organization. Managers, they do the day-to-day work to make sure that certain policies and procedures are put in place, but leaders must have a vision. And if you don't have that vision, the organization is not going to prosper. And you have to keep that in front of you at all times, knowing that, people may say things about you. I have no idea what people are saying about me when they go home, but I really don't care. And I'm at that point, and I've been at that point for a number of years. The whole issue about, do I think that people respect me? Well, enough people respect me to do my job. I don't care if everybody respects me. The question that I have is, who do I respect? Mm-hmm. And that, as being a leader, that's very important. There are people that I respect and people that I probably don't respect. But I have to just keep the organization moving, and I have to keep myself moving and motivated every day.
Let me talk a little bit about that motivation piece that you mentioned. So you're saying you've been black for 73 years. So, okay, you've been in the 60s, and you've seen the 70s, and you've seen the 80s, and you've seen the 90s, and now you see the 2000s. So you've seen some things, and you've been through some things. So those times when you felt like quitting and you wanted to quit, and some individuals have done something that you probably should have quit, what kept you going? Why did you keep going, and what is that thing?
Well, I think I'm a different animal because I've never wanted to quit. So I don't know what that means. Maybe there were times maybe I should have quit. I guess it's hard. It's been hard for people to intimidate me, I guess, and I don't know where that came from. In fact, I really can't explain that today, because I have a very, my upbringing was very, very modest. I was from a split family. I was raised by an aunt and uncle in rural Cass County, poor, and how I got here, I have no idea. I think that my aunt and uncle instilled values in me. And then I went and lived with my biological mother through high school in Chicago. In fact, I went to Harrison High School one year, and then John Marshall High School on the south side. And it was a real cultural change for me. In a rural community that was mostly white, to inner city where it was predominantly black. And living on the west side of Kalamazoo, the west side of Chicago is far different from living on the far south side of Kalamazoo. So I feel fortunate to have that background and have that, I guess I'm pretty humble because I really enjoy and I appreciate what I've done. And the whole issue of respect, the whole issue of what I need to do in the future, it's just a day-to-day kind of thing. I really don't think that much about that, other than one of these days I'll have to give all of this up. And maybe that might be a problem for me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
bud.
I'm telling you. I guess I could put this out to both of you in terms of the question. And that question is this. So many times we hear people say, well, I didn't get this because I was black. I didn't do this because I was black. And I don't say we use it a lot as an excuse, but sometimes we do. What do you say to people that, because I know with both of you, you have to have hard work. And you had to put in the work. You just didn't get there, But what do you say to people about this? Well, I didn't get there because I was black, but yet they wasn't doing what they should have been doing.
So I'm gonna shout out another initiative that I'm a part of to help answer this question. One of the things, so my sisters and I started an organization called Sisters in Business, and part of why we did that was because we saw that Black women were the fastest growing entrepreneurship group, but the least funded, the least invested in. And so Black women are creating businesses at an exponential rate, yet not getting that same funding opportunity. And then there's another initiative in town called Black Wall Street Kalamazoo. And so these initiatives have now been happening for about going on 5 years. And we're sitting at tables and advocating for different folks to get funding and get assisted. And then we would go to some folks in our community, some of our Black businesses, and things weren't together. And so one of the things we started was, we actually just launched this yesterday. We're calling it the Black Entrepreneur Training Academy, because we recognize that there were some gaps in preparedness for some of our businesses. So yeah, the innovation is there. Yeah, the drive is there. Yeah, even the ability to work hard. But what we recognize is there might be a denial because of racism, and there's barriers that have caused our folks not to enter into certain systems or get certain access. But the response is, how do we create our own tables so that we can prepare ourselves to take advantage of those resources? Or better yet, how do we create our own? And so I think now especially it's just been a phenomenal time where you see a lot of Black business booming, you see a lot of innovation. And I think we're getting to the point where we can no longer just sit down and say, well, I didn't get this opportunity because of the color of my skin. Racism exists. It is in the fabric of American society. So where we are now is, how do we either say we're creating our own tables and we're gonna recognize the gaps. So yes, you have a great business idea, but we need to now help you get a business plan. Yes, you have a wonderful business idea, but now we need you to get your books together so that you can take advantage of a loan opportunity when it comes along, or so that you can create generational wealth for your family. So it's really doing that both and, but doing it from a culturally competent lens so that folks can hear us and so that we can grow.
Brother Patton?
You know, I think that this is a wonderful time to be Black. Despite what's going on around us. And I tell this to people that have disabilities, mental disabilities. It's many people with mental illnesses see the world quite differently than other people. And we have to recognize that there's talent there. There's a lot of insight and a lot of vision, even though there are disturbances. Same thing for being Black, and I think that's why I probably have done well in this field. You know, I'm very sensitive about discrimination. I'm very sensitive about inequalities. But I see the world, I think, differently. And I really take pride in that. When I'm sitting around the table and listening to people solving problems, I can see it from a different lens. And I think that's what has helped me and has helped whatever we might call a success, and I'm not sure what that necessarily is. But I think that has helped me, and I would just encourage, this is a good time to be Black. You can't let your guard down, though. But it's a very good time to be Black because there's going to be a lot of Black people over the next 30 years in this country, and let's get prepared for it. And we have to stop thinking that we can't do things, because we can, and we should. And the next generation needs to really pick that up and lead this country.
There was a question, Jeff, from our audience for you. I want to know, do you see many other Black CEOs at your level across the nation?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I see CEOs, oh gosh, we've got a CEO that's over Bronson Hospital. We have a CEO that's over Kalamazoo Valley Community College, Dr. Washington. Western Michigan, right here. And K College, so right here in Kalamazoo. But throughout the nation, my goodness, just go to Atlanta, which I've never been. I'm embarrassed to say that. But, black people are prospering all over the nation. And, of course, we did have Barack Obama, didn't we? And now we got Kamala. Absolutely. This is a good time.
Right.
Well, I know we're coming close to the end of this, so I think what we would like to do is give each one of you a few minutes to maybe expound on anything that we may not have asked you or you might want to leave us with or might want to say. So at this time, Alicia, is there anything that you might want to just share with us that we haven't covered?
Sure. So I think one of the things, just in terms of our goals for today, and looking to like what would I tell other people, I would say show up and keep going. When we look at the time that we're living in a pandemic. For Black people, it's been a triple pandemic for forever, right? And you think about our Black creators and our ancestors and those who have come before us. And something that has always kind of stood out to me is that you look at the life of Madam C.J. Walker. Folks love to highlight Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker's business grew the most during the 1918 flu outbreak, the pandemic. And because we have always created under duress, under oppression, we have always had the ability to thrive in spite of. And so to my people, I say keep going, innovate, create. This is our time to shine. And to white people who are just coming into the realization that racism is here and is embedded in the fabric of society, there is a responsibility to dismantle and to learn and to grow and not just be an ally, but be a co-conspirator in changing the system. And so that would be my encouragement and that would be my call.
Yeah. Dr. Pay?
I would like to just end by, I wrote a position paper after our board passed a resolution to end racism. And if I may, just like to just read just a bit of the position paper. The United States of America as a nation and Americans individually clearly have much work to do to build a country free from inequality. And there is much to do in that regard within our public mental health system. Stating that Black Lives Matter, whether anyone agrees with the actions of the Black Lives Matter organization, is merely an acknowledgement that all lives in America do not matter unless we address the unequal treatment and unequal opportunities faced by Black Americans. Our organization, Integrated Services of Kalamazoo, pledges to continue to identify and address inequalities within our programs, system of care and procedures, and we support individuals and organizations who are willing to speak out for the goal of equal treatment for all. That is a statement that we're making, a statement that we plan to make changes within our organization and also work with other organizations. And I really appreciate the opportunity to participate tonight.
Jeff, so that's the conclusion statement of the position statement you wrote,
correct.
right?
Yes.
For your organization.
Yes.
And so you are leading that organization through what you just wrote.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. I really want to get that out because I really want us to know that we've got individuals that are doing significant work in our community. And one other thing, Alicia, because there's a lot of things you're involved upon, and I need you to, because I need the audience to just hear the type of things that you're currently involved on. And the same thing, Jeff, the organization you're connected with, because these are two busy individuals. And would you share, and then Jeff?
Absolutely. So I mentioned a couple of organizations, Sisters in Business in Black Wall Street, Kalamazoo. We recently came together to start the Black Entrepreneurship Training Academy, or BETA. And so for folks who are entrepreneurs and interested in getting some advanced learning and support for their businesses, the application goes live tomorrow for that. And so you can find out more information from Black Wall Street, Kalamazoo, to get involved with that program. And my business, AMP Consulting, LLC, if you're an entrepreneur or if you just have an idea, you're trying to create change in the community, you don't know where to start, you can go to AMP Consulting or ampcreatives.com to find us there. And then lastly, I'll mention the Black political movement. If you are wanting to get politically involved. So this doesn't have to necessarily be somebody that wants to run for office, but we're really about building Black political power in Kalamazoo. So if you're looking to get involved, learn more about campaigning, get on a committee, just find out how you can be more civically involved. You can find us at the Black Political Movement. You can reach out to me. I'm on all the social media platforms, so find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'll get you connected.
Weren't you connected with the Democratic Party?
I was. So I was the former chair of the Kalamazoo County Democratic Party. I'm not the chair anymore, but I was connected to that.
How'd that go?
So that was, being chair of a political party is hard work. That's what I will say. But I will say this. When it comes to politics, especially local politics, it's about who shows up and who's in the room. And so I definitely encourage folks that if you are seeing things happen at the government level and you are just completely unhappy, the saying all politics is local is so true. And there's so much that you can do in our local government. And so even if you're like, I don't want to run for office, you can serve on a committee, you can have a say. And so few voices show up politically to create change. And so if you're a person who's like, I don't want to be involved with either party, I think both parties are not for me, that's why we created the Black Political Movement. It's a nonpartisan body so that we can bring those political issues and kind of hash them out. But as a person who was a former chair of the Democratic Party, I also definitely encourage people to go and get involved with the party as well to find out how you can create more change.
Jeff?
What was the question?
What did I ask?
I don't know what you're...
About all of her involvement.
Oh, yeah, all the other things that you're involved with.
Well, I'll end here. I just want to give a shout out to our Trauma-Informed Resiliency-Oriented Equity Committee. We're working with the National Council on Behavioral Health, and that committee is establishing policies and procedures within our organization. But also external to the organization, we are collaborating with many organizations, and so we're very, very proud of that.
Amen.
I also have to mention Charlie's Place. I don't know why I didn't say Charlie's Place. My family is going to come after me. But Charlie's Place is a youth recreational organization here in town. We run the Youth Basketball League in the summertime. I know with COVID, we weren't able to do things, but we have some new programming coming up. So Charlie's Place is another organization as well.
Well, hey, listen, we enjoyed having everyone here tonight. We hope that you will tune in again, because we're going to be doing this, as Pastor Moore said, every Thursday, starting at 6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30. Starting at 6:30, we'll be doing this, and we will continue to do this throughout the year. So if you know someone that you feel we need to invite on the program, and you feel people need to hear from them, or if you feel we need to hear from you and you got something, you can contact us. How can they contact us?
You can contact us. Contact me here at the church, 269-388-3111, 269-388-3111. You can contact us. We want to hear from you because we're serious about highlighting and celebrating Black excellence. And let me say, Jeff, thank you so very much for agreeing to come. Thank you, Alyssa. This has been great. I've learned a lot. I'm inspired. And let me check my sheet, make sure that we, and you got to help us on YouTube and Facebook. Have you been informed? I need a yes or no. Did you get inspired, encouraged, and are motivated? That's Buddy and I's, that's our report card. So we got to do that. And so make sure you respond and see if we did that. If not, we got to do some things to make sure. So thank you so very much. We appreciate both of you coming. Thank God. Let me just close in prayer. Any other closing remarks, Buddy? Anything?
No, I've enjoyed our first show. Thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you, buddy. God, we thank you now for this opportunity. We thank you now for Jeff Patton and Elisa Parker. We thank you for how you're using them to impact lives in our community. And thank you now for Buddy. We thank you for every person that has tuned in and will eventually watch this on replay. We see your hand moving in this community. We see it moving through people. We love you and honor you now. In the name of Jesus, this is that service prayer. Amen.
Amen.
.org or follow us on social media. Again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to worship with you again soon. Thank you for streaming live with us. Visit our website mtzionlifegroup.org or follow us on social media. Again, thank you for joining us and we hope to worship with you again soon. Thank you for streaming live with us. Visit our website mtzionlifegroup.org or follow us on social media. Again, thank you for joining us and we hope to worship with you again soon.